Okay. All right, everybody, here we are, December 15th, 2020. We're at the final home stretch, huh? So I'm Dennis Hughes, the acting president for our Cascade chapter, and I'll be leading us today on a fun adventure of our ASSP websites to kind of go over some resources and some opportunities that we have. I've been with ASSP for quite a while, and I never really spent much time just digging in and seeing how useful the website can be. So hopefully we get some benefit out of this. Certainly not a formal presentation today, somewhat winging it in some aspects, but we'll just kind of walk through this together. And if you have any other good ideas or something you want to add on, then let's just try and start off by the chat and maybe invite into a verbal conversation if that works for everybody. All right, I'll start off sharing the screen here. All right. So first up, I thought maybe we'd look at our Cascade chapter. That one's probably a little bit easier. Maybe we spend a little bit more time there for some folks that have been in the chapter for a little bit. Just a quick confirmation, you guys can't see my screen?
Can do.
Okay, great. All right, so this is our ASSP Cascade chapter homepage. And ours is pretty intuitive. There's not a lot of mystery here. It's pretty easy to go through. So talks a little bit about our chapter. We do have an opportunity to update our chapter officers right now, and we'll get that submitted soon enough. I'll work on that. Just so we can maybe put some names and faces together if we have some newer folks. We've got some news opportunities where we've got our past newsletters and things like that. Some really good information that Evan was putting out for us. A few events, chapter highlights. Let me remind what we've got in here. So we used to put our meeting minutes on here whenever we were back in the day, kind of meeting back in person for a while. But there's just some historical information in here, just categorized by date. That's how we've got some job postings. So if anyone had a local position that we want to add to the web page, certainly invite that. And then our resources page, and this is kind of set standard for our region, the ones that are going to be listed here, but starts off first is the main ASSP web page, talks about our region 1, if you want to see what our direct area directors and other folks are up to, and then kind of another larger job search, and then it lists all the other chapters. So if you're going to take a road trip somewhere and you're thinking, hey, while I'm down in LA, I might as well, see if I can connect with someone from the LA chapter. Just maybe another networking, because that's one of the big components that we have within the ASSP is our ability to network with other folks. And there's just a plethora of websites. I'm not going to go through many more of these here, but there's just quite a bit on here that we could use. So if you have a question or a consideration, you might consider coming here, just checking through, see if there's anything that could be valuable that's already kind of compiled for you.
Dennis, can you go to the events page? I believe that is where our meetings are being linked.
Fantastic.
Maybe not. Try chapter highlights.
We do have, well, right, but we do have our some contact information to contact folks in there. Then highlights.
Okay, they're supposed to be easy to find in there. I just posted them. And presentations. Oh, look, see on that page on the right-hand column, presentations. There we are, stress. So here's October 2020. So all of those are our meetings. The naming conventions are a little odd. And they get posted by somebody who works for ASSP in the national organization for us. And so we have a little bit of control about how it goes out, but that's where we will be posting our presentations if you miss them.
Fantastic. Thanks for pointing that out, Christy. All right, and I'm not looking at the comments at all as I'm displaying. So if there's any other conversation or something, if you wouldn't mind, let me know, Christy.
Will do.
Thanks a bunch. All right, so then on to the main ASSP webpage. So we click that link. I already had it open up here. And this site is the onion. There's a lot on here, and there's a lot of useful stuff. So we'll talk about it real quick and see how effective I can be at trying to explain some of these things. So what I was thinking I'll do is I'll just go across this top global bar up here, just call out some highlights. And if we want to have a little discussion along the way, fantastic. So the membership area, what it does is it kind of links to some other areas. So whenever you start going through these, it may actually end up taking you to some of these other categories whenever you go through there. It's just kind of the introduction area. But some things that we'll talk about are community leader resources. And I'm going to open these in a new tab so that way I don't get lost each time. So here, if you're interested in becoming one of the chapter leaders, or you want to get more involved, or you're like, what does that person actually do? So we come here, and then whenever you're on chapters, if you click your plus sign here, it'll uncollapse that. And there's actually some chapter leadership training, some information about engagement management. So if you're kind of newer to the chapter and you're wanting to learn a little bit more, these are really great resources. And there's no paid information here. It's all just stuff for our members to access. So that can be really useful, even for someone that hasn't reviewed it in a while. So I know I've found some benefit out of that one. And I'm not going to go through every single thing on every page. Like I said, I'm just going to try and hit some highlights and see how much time we have left over at the end here. So that was under our community leader resources. So next up, we've got one that gets a little bit more in depth is this membership directory. Has anybody ever spent any time in this membership directory before?
Maybe a tiny bit.
So it's kind of neat. So whenever you first open up the page, it takes you to your main page here. And let's say you want to just look up someone specific, okay? Easy enough, search. We can hey, there's Lance, fantastic. He's just hanging out. But if you had another topic, if you had a specific topic where you're like, man, I really want to find someone that's good at excavations, you can just search for it by category, and then it'll give you a number of folks that have something related to that in their bio. And then you have some other filter options in here. You can make it by location so that if you did want to try and connect with someone a little bit closer, make it broader if you're just looking to have a question answered remotely. But that was a really neat feature. I was kind of excited whenever I first saw that, so that we can maybe make some new partnerships with folks that we haven't met before. All right, then kind of walking through these up here, there's a dashboard where you can find a very large picture of yourself if you have one. That can be maybe a little bit surprising, but that's all there is. So just a fun thing. There's a picture of you. You can look at that if you want to. But going on, let's see, we've got, you can view your profile from here. Okay, so you go into settings, you can view profile. It's a little bit duplicative because you can do the same thing from right here, but if you like choices, then here you go. You can make a choice. So you go into profile, and it's sort of like, I don't know, maybe the MySpace of ASSP, but they get little badges on here. So I've got one for chapter leader there. And I think if you do a lot of discussion posts, you can collect badges. Oh, they got a little glossary and other information. I don't think there's anything private in here. It's fine. And you can see the list of friends. Obviously, guys, I don't have a lot of friends, but I don't really use this a whole lot. But it's something to consider if you have more of an online presence, maybe you would do better with this. And then some member activity, you can see what other kind of activities that you've been participating in whenever you're in this. But it's kind of a neat way to look at your own profile there.
Looks like Thomas is suggesting that it's time to update your profile, Dennis.
Could be.
Did I interpret you correctly, Thomas?
What? Here, business cards.
I was just gonna say you could show us how to do it.
Oh man, my technological kung fu it might be maxed out with all the other things that we're going to look at. But let's see, let's give it a go. I'm in. So profile, there's got to be, oh, it's right there. Edit. Look, let's do it. Fun stuff. Oh, so here's the thing. So this member area, the member directory, it's sort of like a separate page from the main ASSP. So if you want to make some updates and things, it does have to route you back to the other one. So I had already logged into this community page, and it'll indicate up here that you're in the community section. It is an additional login. For me, it was. But once you log into it, then you can bounce back and forth easy enough. But just know it's the same username and password as your main ASSP page that you go to. And I did skip that step from the very beginning. You always have to log in, and that's always your first step, which kind of leads me to a point that I wanted to make, and that's, remembering all the passwords. So especially if it's a site that you're not using a lot of antivirus software options, like if you use like whatever version, but they sometimes have a password management application too. I'm sure there's some apps that you could get on your phone, but to keep your passwords safe, you may consider something like that. But you do have to have an individual password for this one. All right, so back into our membership directory here. So then we've got discussions. So if you have a particular category that you want to just jump to, they have a couple different categories here that you can just get right to, and a little bit of a how-to use the community. And I'll show you, if you click this, how to use the community, it kind of just takes you to a site, and then you can add new topics right here if you had something that you wanted to create your own topic. But if you want to just search what already exists, we can go to discussion home, and then again, there's those quick categories that you've got. You can search for a particular topic that you want, and then the most relevant ones by date created are right here. They've got some fun tags over here as well, but it's a nice place for community discussions within ASSP. We already talked about our member directory, communities. So if you're part of a practice specialty, this is where you can go to connect with that specialty. Sorry if it's confusing with the windows, it makes sense to me. So here you can see who the administrator of your specialty is, and whoever the members are, participate in discussions. So it's just your focus group. So if you had a generic question, you could go to the main discussion. If you had something that was kind of a little bit more particular for your area, then you might consider wanting to have a conversation through here. And then settings, it's pretty much the same stuff as if you drop down over there to get access. And oh, there was one other thing for discussions. We'll come back here. And that was, there's a way that you can filter discussions by time frame. So it wasn't there. I apologize. I had it up earlier. Oh, whenever you search, here it is. So let's say we've got an airflow question that we want to try and work on. Then you can look up the relevance. So if it's just a generic and it doesn't matter when it was, if it's a new standard or something that's come out recently and you wonder if other people are asking the same kind of question, then it'll let you narrow your search by time frame as well. So that's kind of a neat feature. All right, so right now I'm closing out the community areas, and now we're back to the main ASSP page. So you can get access to communities here as well, get involved, has a lot of information, volunteer, leadership, plenty of information on those pages as well, but I didn't plan on going into detail on those. So certificate programs. Of course, ASSP offers a number of certificate programs. It gives you some information here on why you would want to do it, some of the benefits, and access to what some of the actual certificates are, of course. Sorry if I'm going too quick there.
You're doing great, Dennis.
Super, thanks. My Learning. So My Learning, if you do take any courses through the ASSP page, this is where you can go back and take a look at those at another time. So it brings you to this kind of main page, and then you can go into your learning center. And here, it's somewhat similar to what you would find on that main ASSP page. If you wanted to find a particular course to take, you could search through here. There's another way to do it that we'll look at on the main page in a little bit. But then there's the actual learning center. Before I click on that, you can see the courses that you've already taken. So you can see, we'll look at mine real quick. Fun thing, coronavirus. So chapter president, chapter operations. So it'll log the things that you've already completed. So that way, if you wanted to go back and, what was it, the course that you looked at, it'll be a good reference, especially if you're going to be purchasing courses, and then you can see them in there. And search category, discussion forum. There's just some discussions about tasks within the actual learning center here. And certification preparation. So we're all probably familiar with a lot of the certifications that exist. A nice thing about this is that there's actually a guarantee that if you take one of these prep courses, they guarantee success on the exam. And if you don't pass, you can retake the same course for free. So that's really neat and a good confidence booster for the success rate of the courses. A little bit more detail, certificates. And then there's, if you want a little bit more information, it just directs you right to each of the different certifications and how to keep up with your research as well. All right, and then the first thing, I don't know if you're like me, but whenever you're searching for information, there's the magic information button there, free learning resources. It's like, yes, that. Let me just look at that one first here. So this has a plethora of information on here. There's some webinars that start off in the beginning that you can watch. And of course, there's a navigation bar on the side there. But just scrolling through this relatively quickly, this is kind of neat. It's this math toolbox. And if you've noticed that in the journal that gets part of our membership, they started this math toolbox portion that it can help you work through some challenging calculations that maybe we don't do all the time, but are really relevant. So it's a nice place to come back and take a look at these. There's some nice information, risk assessment, some videos, management. There's quite a bit of stuff in here. And remember, this is in the free category. So this is all you. These are things that we have access to make the best of. And you can see a lot of these things don't have COVID in the title, which makes them even more drawn towards you because it's not another COVID thing. So maybe a little bit of a break if you have any spare minutes. away from that topic. All right, and then online learning. And this is going to be where we can search for whatever type of particular course. So there's some quick references there, and some of those things you recognize that we've already talked about already. But we can search for any particular course. So right now, of course, we're going to want to focus on online courses, and then you can come in here and search for whatever it is that you want. So it'll tell you the price, usually the duration, if there's any CEUs involved, you can get all that information whenever you come through here. And of course, historically, there's been opportunities to have education come to your location. It's a little bit different these days. I don't know all the details, but maybe in the future state, you could consider that as an option. There we go, right there. It's got its own tab for it. All right, so then on to standards. So if you were looking to buy standards, whenever you open this one up, it kind of takes you right back to the store. So kind of the same thing that we just looked at for the education. It's the same thing, but it just auto searches for you under publications. So if it kind of throws you off a little bit, did me at first, like I feel like I was just there. That's why I have to close these windows and not get too confused. All right, so standard development talks about ASSP involvement. If you want to be more involved, there's a good pathway to get through there. And then standard topics. So if you got a particular topic that you want to just look for, it's easily navigable through here. Okay, and then there's access to some podcasts over there. Publication. Not going to go into a whole lot of these individual categories here, but if you were interested in putting out some articles, whether it was for your recertification or some other endeavor, this is a good way to get started in that, to explore that as an opportunity. If you felt like, oh, I'm not really too sure, then it's always appreciated, just like whenever we have our speakers come, or if we have a chapter member present at a topic, it's a fantastic opportunity for both the chapter and the presenter. Advocacy. Is that too small? Can you guys read that on the screen?
I can.
Okay, super. All right, so I'll just leave it up for a minute, just because we're walking through the site and we don't always have time to kind of look at these. So I'll just pause for a second and let everybody digest some of the options that are listed under this tab. All right, so we do have we've just been through 5 of our tabs so far, and there's just so much information that lives within each of these. So news, pretty self-explanatory there. And then we've got some resource options. So you've got by the way, not the way. And it comes with this neat graphic of the World Wide Web thinking. We'll let it do its thinking there. All right, and then there's a student section as well. So great opportunity for exploring scholarships, or if you were looking to have some more formal education, there's accredited programs that are listed in there as well. All right, so this is kind of a photo gallery. I don't want to say it's a fun photo gallery because sometimes it's painful to check out, but it's just got some different pictures. Let me start at the top. Sorry, some different pictures and maybe a neat reflection at the beginning of your next tailgate talk or safety meeting. If it's applicable for your area, you can go through the photo gallery there and remind everybody what not to do without having to pay the price of doing it. All right, so that's about our 30-minute mark, just about shy, and that's the gist of it. I kind of wanted to leave plenty of time if we wanted to have some topic for discussion. If someone had other things that they wanted to call out for the website or benefits that they've identified that I didn't cover, I wanted to leave time for that.
I'll just say that was amazing. It was a great run through and very clear, and you're hilarious, and it's so in depth. I also didn't realize how much sort of social media or connection and you can do with other people within the site. It's a bit overwhelming, but it's also good to know if you need it.
The other piece that I've used occasionally is looking at the old copies of the journal for safety professionals that members have access to. And so I know sometimes when I'm looking for a particular topic, because I don't always read my magazine when it first comes and then it ends up on the shelf, I've gone back and found that to be another source of info.
Dennis, I'll also say that we probably have people on the call who are not members yet for a variety of reasons. And I'm wondering, this looks like you get to this if you're a member and you log in. So are any of these resources available if you are not a member? Do you
I
know the
believe
answer?
a lot of these are. I think you can see most of this stuff, like some of the learning education stuff. There's a different price for members and non-members, but I think most of this you can see. You can't get into the member directory. That's a different area, but for the large portion, a lot of it should be like the publications that may be a little bit different for actually getting the actual safety journal, like Jim was talking about, that you could get through there. But of course, there's a link for how to join if someone wanted to, and the benefits of qualifications. So some of the join renew, if you were considering becoming a member and you thought that your organization may be able to support you, or maybe they're on the fence and you want to have a good discussion on how to do that, there's information in there on, I think it actually says how to convince your boss to help support you in paying for it. So if you wanted to use that for your presentation for presenting why you should have support going into as an ASSP member, you could have some details on how your organization could benefit. And another thing I meant to mention before, and that's that our chapter does have a Facebook page that Thomas has been managing graciously for us for quite a while. And we haven't had a whole lot of updates. We had a great presence, I think, during the conference, but we do have a Facebook page. If someone is really interested in social media and you thought, hey, maybe I want to do something, but I'm really not too sure. If you wanted to maybe support the Facebook page, then you could reach out to myself or any of our other chapter officers, and we could explore that as an option.
I have a little bit of a background noise going on now, but if you can hear me, I would be glad to help work with anyone that's doing social media or sharing social media. I try to forward some of the safe social media that's produced as well as ASSE stuff to that page.
Great, thanks, Thomas. All right, well, any other discussion or observations that we want to make for this month's meeting? Could we share the Facebook link? Absolutely. See you there, Naomi.
I
think
can
I
get it
have
in
it.
there. I got it.
Okay.
And I did see that Thomas has some fairly current things on our Facebook page that happened in November, so that's good. Nope, that's not right. That's our web page. My apologies. I'll get it to you.
Is there not a link from our webpage to our Facebook page?
Maybe.
Upper right corner.
There it is.
Awesome.
I would click on it, but then you'd see that I'm not allowed to be on Facebook at work. So
The other thing I will just mention is that if anyone is looking for an opportunity to sort of give back or participate, you know, our website, we've had people monitoring that in the past. It looks like it could use an update. Or if anyone's interested in doing newsletters or contributing to a newsletter, writing an article or sharing stories, we'd be happy to do that. And it's sort of a low impact way to contribute and be a part without, you know, signing up to be, say, president of the chapter. So if you're interested in anything like that, or you've got an interest or technical skills you'd like to share with us, please reach out. We can always use the help.
I also encourage folks to, if you have ideas on what you'd like to hear from as far as speakers or topics for kind of 2021, I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to talk about it, but feel free to type something in the chat or unmute and share your ideas.
okay, last call for comments. We'll make a nice maybe 7-second pause for anyone that's struggling with their mute button. Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody for joining. Don't hesitate to reach out to our other members. So it's a fantastic opportunity. We've got questions. I think everybody's really open to having conversation, and sometimes it's nice to just have someone else on the phone that leads to, you know, more of a maybe sometimes social conversation where we can learn about each other and strengthen our chapter connectivity. So otherwise, we'll have our next meeting January. I hope everyone has fantastic holidays, relaxing, rejuvenating, and see you in the new year.
Woohoo! Thanks, Dennis. Good job. I think you did excellent, and I think this recording is something to be proud of.
Okay. All right. We'll post
right.
it then. Let's get it up
Okay.
there.
Thank you.
Oh, I think we're supposed to say and cut. We'll keep our theme going. All right. Bye, everybody.